This is portrait mode. I'm so psyched about this one. So a couple thoughts. I wrote these things down. Love the idea of really creating a focus point right in the morning before I even journal. So I wrote this: what I desire most from life is not available in stores. Isn't that interesting? I always recognize that some of the coolest things in life you can't prove, right? Like God or something like that. But when you really think about it, especially as we're coming up on this holiday season, the things that I desire most are not available on Amazon, right? Or in stores. And then I think, what is it that I value most? And I've heard this before. I said, I'm in search of that deeper love that only comes from the sky above. So that got me motivated, and that cleared my mind. And that's where I began to write. So a quick reminder today, and this would be bringing something into focus, which fits perfectly into the portrait mode. Quick reminder about brain health. I think we miss this. We're very focused on our bodies and trying to lose weight, gain weight, and it could be aesthetic or optimal health, but brain health. I just want to make sure everybody has that wake-up call about brain health today. When you look at your daily activities and habits, ask yourself today if they're good or bad for your brain. Now, brain health is not just about nutrition. It's also about what we consume and who we hang around with. Like if you're watching the news all the time, is that good for your brain? So just ask yourself, put that into the checklist. Did you know that the brain, this is interesting, the brain consumes 20% of the calories that we consume. So your brain represents 2% of your body, the wet piece of meat, 2% of your body, but consumes 20% of the calories that you consume. So that means that your brain is the most expensive piece of real estate in your body. So you should check today, right? Well, I shouldn't say you should. I just took a should on you. But what you should consider checking, or what I'm going to consider checking today, is this good or bad for my brain? So you can either accelerate the aging of your brain, and I know a lot of people are worried about dementia and Alzheimer's. You can either accelerate and deteriorate your brain, aging, or you can decelerate it. Do you like the idea of decelerating the aging process of your brain? So check. Did you know that by being overweight and obese, and this is something passionate, because I help people transform their health physically, weight loss, all that stuff nutritionally, and then, on a healthy body rests a healthy mind. But did you know that overweight and obese people are much more apt to accelerate the aging of their brain? There's actually science on that. That makes me want to go lose a couple pounds, right? Wow. Smoking, poor nutrition, as well as hanging around with negative people also plays a role in accelerating the aging of your brain. So check on those things today. The next time you eat something, forget about what it's going to do to your gut. Think about that too. But what is it doing to your brain? Because once we lose our brain, nothing matters. So portrait mode. Learning how, this is a great strategy for the day, for the year, for your life. Learning how to filter out things that don't matter and pose as distractions in our lives, and leveraging the focal point of the task at hand. It's very challenging, right? So bringing your focus and attention distraction free, or as Nir Ayel says, indistractable. It's very challenging to just focus on that, because there's so many other things, whether it's a shiny object or, things and people that are distracting, or fake work, or procrastination, and all that stuff. It's very hard to just decide on something you want and the things that leverage it, and stay focused on that. So I thought it was cool to think about how that's similar to switching your brain to portrait mode, like you can on your cell phones. I don't know if all you people that don't have iPhones can do that, but I mean, Samsungs and Androids and stuff. Do you guys even have portrait mode? Resistance is futile. That's another topic. But anyway, portrait mode is super cool, because what happens when you flip to the reason why we love portrait mode is it makes the background, everything in the background blurs out, but the image or object, the desired image or object or person pops out into clear focus. So imagine if you flipped a switch in your brain and you went into portrait mode. What that would mean is everything that doesn't matter, blurs out. And the thing that matters not only pops, but it pops with ultra clarity. It's a new level of focus. It's like if everything is black and there's something white, it pops more because of the contrast. So that's what's cool about portrait mode is the blurred background makes the focal point pop. So flip a switch into portrait mode. So learning how to do this in your life is of great value in moving forward and staying on track, right? Not getting distracted. Portrait mode. So the skill set is one of sorting things into their appropriate categories. So this is what you can check. Remember, we were talking about checking to see if something is good or bad for your brain. If it's bad for your brain, it should be blurred out, meaning not engaging with it. So the skill set is one of sorting things into appropriate categories. So blurred, they would either be blurred or focal point. That's the idea. So important versus unimportant. In your control versus out of your control. So the difference between things that matter and things that don't, for example, does this matter or does this not matter? So the things that don't matter would get blurred out, right? Why would we bring something that doesn't matter into focus, right? If we do, we're wasting time and we don't know how much time. So it's still there, but we put it out of focus. Things that we control versus things that we can't control. It's pretty obvious. Anytime you feel angry, frustrated, concerned, all those things, those are usually feelings attached to you trying to control uncontrollable things. So if you can sort and say, is this in my control? Just like you ask, is this good for my brain or bad for my brain? Is this in my control or out of my control? Things that are out of your control, they're still there, but we blur them, right? Because it's a waste of our time. Then in connection with our desired state and outcome, there are things that support and leverage it, bring those into focus. But then there's things that have nothing to do with our goal. One of the great techniques that you can use if you want to stay on track and focus is, I hope I get it right. I think it's the 3 Ds. So, some things you have to learn how to delete, meaning don't even blur them, just get them out of your life, people or things. Another one would be delegate, right? This is important, but not ultra important for me. I'm going to give it to somebody else and maximize my time. And then also the 3rd D would be to defer it. So I think that things that are deferred fall in the category of being in that blurred, right? Defer them. They're still there, but they don't matter right now. So in connection with your desired state and outcome, there's things that support and leverage it into existence and things that are counterproductive and distracting. So the things that are counterproductive and distracting or don't matter or don't support your goal, blur them, and make the thing that's important, focused, pop into focus in portrait mode. So what's interesting about the blurred out background though, because we talk a lot about the importance of failure, the importance of negativity and adversity. So it would be foolish to think that they're not there. So when you blur something, it's still there, but it's out of focus. It's out of focus. So we recognize that that stuff is there, but we delineate the fact that they don't apply today. The thing that we're focused on is what applies. So if you're focused on something counterproductive and negative, you're saying that that's what your day is going to be about, right? I say blur that shit. So the key to embracing the key is to embrace the blur, yet set it aside because it's irrelevant or doesn't apply. So let's flip that switch today into portrait mode. Is anybody into that with me? Flip a switch into portrait mode today. What and who needs to be blurred out in your life today? You have to ask the questions, right? Control, not control. Matter, not matter. Who or what needs to be blurred out in your life today? And what is it, more importantly, that needs to pop into focus? Make sense? Well, I sure hope so. So we're coming to the end of the year. I will be continuing to do the rise ups because it's for me, maybe potentially even more than you. But I love and appreciate you. You know, hopefully you're enjoying this. And remember, the podcast is the cleaned up sub 5-minute version of these thoughts. These are all going to be in a different book that I'm writing one day. A lot of fun stuff coming up. And just remember, you're in a lot more control of your 2023 than you think if you take control of it and become the dominant force of your life. Great newsletter, free to everybody, riseupwithdragon.com, one from the vault, the Dragon's Lair. Feel free to stay with us. And remember, these are streamed live on both Instagram and in the Rise Up with Dragon community, but they're not saved on Instagram. They're saved in the Rise Up with Dragon Facebook community. So come on over here and join us. If you're listening to this podcast, you will see that stuff is in the show notes. So love and appreciate you all. I will see you tomorrow at 7:30. Again, have a great day.